Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today I would like to continue with the series that we started last week, which was Meet the Cosmos, where I'm going to be essentially interviewing these different intergalactic beings with suggestions from you on which areas in the galaxy to cover, which worlds to cover, which realms to cover, like who do you want to know more about? As well as you can include questions specifically for them. Now, of course, last week was the Galactic Federation interview, so that's the first one in this series. I do feel like I want to do a part 2 on that, so I'll send a call out to you guys for questions for the part 2 on interviewing the Galactic Federation of Light. And thank you so much for all of the requests that I got on last week's video and on Instagram. And it was wonderful to see like what you're interested in. Who do you want to know more about? What world do you want to know more about? So I noticed a lot of things in there, some galactic, some about like ancient Earth history. So that's fantastic. Keep those requests coming because I'm seeing them and I'm going to try to go through them all and like work my way through each one as we go. Okay. So today we're going to be continuing by talking to a Lemurian priestess. So we're going to be talking to this ancient Earth civilization, this beautiful priestess, and asking her, I actually don't have, I decided to do it live this time because last time it was like a lot of writing and then I feel like I'm just like reading you the questions and answers, and that doesn't feel as full of the magic that actually happens when I'm just channeling live. So I decided to not write anything down, and to just like kind of go with the flow here. So I don't know if I saw Lemuria in the request. I think I might have seen it, but I super felt called to do that one next. It's been coming up a lot for me this week, actually. Like I had someone tell me that I had a past life in Lemuria, and I have a new oracle deck that arrived that was for Lemuria. I'm very, very into these Lemurian crystals. I have 2 right now, but I was at a metaphysical shop yesterday, like on the hunt for another one. They didn't have one, but I really was feeling so drawn to finding another one because I do find them really powerful. So, so all of that together. Oh, you know, one more thing too. I took a nap earlier today, and I actually put on, I went onto Spotify and I found a Lemurian playlist, Lemurian like frequencies playlist, and it was so beautiful. And I kind of like went on this journey as I was sleeping. So for whatever reason, Lemuria is just really calling to me. So I do want to cover that. So we're going to jump right in, but just before we do, I want to remind you to please like this video, share this video, and then subscribe here for new videos every Sunday. You can follow me over on Instagram for like original content that isn't shared here. And then of course, if you want to learn to channel, go on these kinds of crazy adventures to ancient civilizations and around the galaxy, then join the membership because we've gone to a lot of places. Orion, Andromeda, Venus, like meeting the Venusian civilization, ancient Egypt, like just so many. And I always take requests from the members. So like when you get in there, you have a say about what we're going to do each week, which is so fun because I love that. I love to know what people want to learn more about. And then, you know, the people that are in there, a lot of them just start not knowing how to astral travel at all, not knowing what is channeling. I couldn't do that. And like, am I even psychic? And I literally take people like not knowing what to do or if they can't even do it into like advanced students in no time. My membership is just coming up on a year. I think I started it last August. And in that time, I've had some people that have been there from the very beginning and have like lots of people actually that have been there since the beginning and are still there. And within a year, just to see the amount of growth, it's like completely different. Going from like super beginners, like I don't even know what shadow work is, to these like advanced psychic channelers, readers, energy healers, starting their own businesses. Like, that's what I'm talking about. The membership is so life-changing. Just like being in my frequency, being in the frequency of like-minded, beautiful community of these individuals, We are learning so much. We are breaking through these barriers that we're holding within, like limiting beliefs and all of these ways that you hold yourself back, and truly learning to like shine our unique soul gifts to the world and offer them and create these businesses, because nobody else has what you have. They can't offer it, only you can. So be generous. Don't keep that from the people, like the people that are awakening right now. They need your soul gifts. They need you to lead. So time to come out of the spiritual closet if you're still in there. Join the membership. It's gentle, beautiful place. It's good for beginners, but it's really going to take you beyond that, and it's great for advanced people as well. Okay, awesome. So, and there'll be links in the description of this video for the membership, plus other ways that you can work with me. So let's jump in now to the interview with the Lemurian Priestess. So I actually started, before I decided I didn't want to write things down, I wrote down 3 things, and then we're going to go off the books because I don't have anything else written down. It's at this point just a microphone holder. Okay, so I did not know how to start, and I feel very comfortable at the Galactic Federation of Light. So I went there first, and I asked them if they could, because I also know that they hold like the highest intentions for humanity, so I really trust them. So I went there first and asked them, you know, can you help me to connect with a Lemurian like civilian or person, or that time in on Earth, like how can I, you know, get this information? And as soon as I asked, of course, it happened so fast. This beautiful priestess walked out where I was standing. She kind of like walked around the corner, and there she was in all her glory. And she had on this like shawl that was made of water. It was made of water, like it was magic, obviously, because it wasn't like falling on the ground. It was like, it was keeping the shape of this like kimono. That's what it looked like a long kimono with like a wide sleeve. And the fabric was water flowing downwards and then going back up. Like, but it really just looked like it was just flowing down. This whole thing was just made of water. And she had this beautiful dark rich skin. She had really curly hair that was also dark to about here, warm brown eyes, a beautiful smile, really just adorned beautifully in this amazing kimono thing. There was something underneath, I think it was like a white dress, but obviously the kimono took my attention mostly. So then the first thing that she wanted to share about was the timeline of when did Lemuria happen, in regards to like a way that we can understand, because a lot of people get like Lemuria and Atlantis are very like intertwined, and it's like what happened there. So maybe I could ask about that. So far all she said is that the timeline is Lemuria, then Atlantis, then ancient Egypt. So I know that people feel differently. That's just what I'm receiving. So again, take it or leave it. Like this is just what I am receiving when I am, you know, setting up a sacred space, calling in this being and asking these questions. This is the information she's giving me, so I'm going to go with that. It feels true to me too, like it resonated. Okay, so Lemuria, Atlantis, ancient Egypt. So I'm going to ask her to, I'm just going to tune back in for a sec and just see, I think I want to start with more information about who she is, and then we'll just jump right into like, I think the history of Lemuria. What was it like there? What did they do? You know, what happened to create Atlantis? All of that, okay? And then if you have extra questions that I don't ask, I'm super open to doing part 2s on these. I'll just leave it there for a sec. But I think I should allow her to share what she thinks is most important too. Okay, so right away, she was there again in my mind's eye. Like when I close my eyes, she's kind of standing right here. And she said that her name was Samil, S-A-M-I-L, Samil. And she is a Lemurian priestess. I see her with a circlet around, like a golden thin band, like a circlet around the top of her crown. And then her hair is curly and big after that. She has on a lot of shells. So she's wearing like a lot of like seashells, and that seems important. They really work with the magic of Gaia. Okay, so this is a civilization that truly believes that Gaia has the magic, and it's all around them. It's available. It's all around them. She's telling me right now. It's in the atmosphere. It's in the air. It's in the water. It's in the sunshine. It's in the plants. It's in all of the elements. Is this magic, and it's still here today. But they knew how to utilize that, and many awakening souls today are learning how to utilize the magic of Gaia. I've learned some about how the magic here on Earth is a manifestation magic. It's different than other planets. It's like a creation magic where you can literally create the world around you, as we've heard through manifestation, through what you're drawing in with your frequency and what you're focusing on. But there's more, obviously, to really good manifestation than that. But that's just some basics about earth magic, but there's more to it, and she's going to share that with us today. Okay, so there's one large shell, and it's I think a conch shell it's called when it circles in like that here. And then little shells on her wrist, and they make like a tinkling sound. Okay, so I originally saw her when we were at the Galactic Federation of Light. She's now transported my consciousness, my focus, I guess you could call it. It's not like a full astral travel, but I'm projecting there consciously, remote viewing maybe you could call it, to be with her as we are now on Lemuria. And I'm going to tell you everything I see. So I am seeing a giant island here on Earth. Before the continents split, there was one large island, and all around it was water. There might have been some small islands here or there, but there was one main island. She's showing me that her particular place right now is like around where Africa, the continent of Africa is. And she's showing me that the sun was different. I think she's saying the sun was different then. Let me just tune in. Why is she saying that? She's showing me this swirling sun. I can see the energy of the sun, and it is swirling in a circle. And it's different. Somehow the energy is different of the sun back then. I feel like it feels more like a portal than it does now, where a portal of not just for people to travel through, but yes, you could do that too, which is crazy to imagine. I do have a video on this channel about the Grand Central Sun, which talks about how all suns are portals, if that's hard to understand. Check that out. But it's also a portal of information and frequencies that comes through. And what I'm hearing from her is that the energies that are sent through our sun, there's lots of suns, one for each solar system, right? So for us in the Milky Way, our sun was connected really strongly to the Grand Central Sun, which is the hub of the universe, of this universe that we live in. And they were so connected that it could send things through. Like they could send from the Grand Central Sun like DNA codes, activation codes, information, wisdom, new inventions. All of those things like hang out in the ethers until it finds a person that is a match for it. So inventions are like right now just in the air, in the ethers, she's saying. That's what it's called, is in the ethers. And these are floating around as these like little thought forms, but they're like packets, like little cubes. And then when it finds a person that is a frequency match or aligns correctly with the frequency of whatever this invention is, when it finds a match, it gets downloaded slowly over time. So you first download the original idea, and then that cube, that information packet opens a little more, expands and expands and expands. Okay, like sacred geometry. All right, so she's showing me that the sun was different. I'm seeing this big, beautiful island. The plants are very different here. The plants are huge, huge, huge. She's also quite tall. I do feel like taller than our average now. And everything looks bigger. Like the leaves are like this big around. Like Jurassic. I don't know if that's the right term, but like that is just like what my mind thought of. Because like, you know how in Jurassic Park, all the leaves and everything are so huge? Well, that's the case there. There's also ancient beings that existed still, because I'm seeing what I would call a brontosaurus. I've seen this before when I've tuned into Lemuria. This brontosaurus was under the water, because remember it's an island. It was under the water and it came up from the water and it had like, I don't know, greens or a lily pad on the top of its head and all this water streaming, and it came up so tall and huge onto the beach and was eating the trees, the tops of the trees. There's also, I can see in the ocean that surrounds the main island, there are like big prehistoric water guys too. I feel like dinosaurs are basically here. Like I'm not seeing any Tyrannosaurus Rex or any of the ones that I really recognize, but there's some that are still here, as if they weren't all, and we know that they weren't all completely wiped out, right? Because the ones in the water continued and became other things. So anyway, there's like leviathans and different like deep sea creatures and these brontosaurus things. There's lots of birds. The birds are also very big. Everything's just bigger. Okay, the people are bigger, the plants are bigger, the animals are bigger. And I would just say, like, you know, there are a lot of ancient stories about like paradise on earth. This feels like that. Like maybe this was this, that, I don't know. Like it feels like when people talk about the original paradise and paradise on earth, like the beginning of civilization here on earth. That's what it feels like. I feel like, okay, so then she's kind of like nodding her head like this was like the first, Lemuria is then the first civilization on earth, on this version of earth. Okay, the one that we're on. Okay, because there's lots of versions, timelines and stuff, but this earth that we would know. Okay, okay, let me tune in now. So she's giving me just like a view of what everything looks like. She's showing me this beautiful sunset. Okay, so we understand the timeline. We're getting a bit about what it looks like. So I think now it would be important to ask her about like the people there. What are they like? What is the civilization like? And as she's walking up the beach towards like what I would consider like an almost like an Aboriginal or Indigenous style village, I'm not seeing teepees. I am seeing like shelter, places of shelter, but they're made out of like, because it's very warm and tropical, they're just made out of like palm fronds and like bamboo, maybe those kinds of sticks and leaves and that. There are a little bit more structures that are more like what's the word? Oh my God. Like stable, I guess, stable. And those are made out of like trees and lumber. Okay, let me just see, tuning in. I'm seeing lots of pathways throughout. There's a like a rainforest style jungle maybe. There are little smaller homes for the people that are kind of scattered, and then there are like a community center, I would say. And then these smaller tribes are all neighbors with each other, and there's no cities. It's very like living off of the earth, magic, like, oh, just beautiful, beautiful vibes. Okay. So the neighboring villages, I want to say villages, are all very peaceful with one another. And it's like she's showing me it's like an interconnected web of energy. Even that is interconnected because these villages are all, they stay small. And she's saying there's a purpose to that, so that, you know, one spot of Gaia can only sustain so many people, and they honor that, which is not something that we do now. They honor that, and they know the signs of when it's time to break a village into two pieces. And that's not a sad thing. That's an exciting thing. They're like, you know, now they become the neighbor, and they're just very like more spread out. It feels like a healthier balance of people versus like Gaia's resources and the health of the planet. I definitely see gardens and people farming. Here where she is located, it obviously is different around, like if Lemuria is the earth, then you're going to see different, when people see different scenes of Lemuria, it doesn't mean one's right or one's wrong. It's a giant island. All of the continents were still together. So you couldn't travel, like just imagine up north versus south, how different it would be. And then the coasts on the east and west. So I just happen to be seeing the south, okay? And, okay, so she showed me this like a zoomed out perspective of all these villages around the earth. And then the interconnected web is how they share information. She says she said the word like storytelling. So they share information and wisdom and knowledge through the beauty of storytelling and song. They believe in storytelling, music, song, and those get, they have visitors, like they do. There are some that travel, not the whole village, but like people within the village that will travel, like almost like ambassadors. And then they travel and they share their village's stories and songs to the medicine women and to the priestesses and to the children and to just everybody, the farmers. Everybody has a place, everybody has a role. It all feels very equal. It all feels like this paradise that you could just imagine. Pure. There's a purity and an innocence here that is just calls to me like, oh my goodness, I would just love that. So now we've talked about the interconnectedness of the land and the humans, but there's this whole other side where the ocean also has sentient life, so conscious, aware beings. And there is also a interaction between the water beings and the land. Okay, so there's the land-dwelling beings, and they all have these beautiful interactions with each other. She's saying she's saying it's not like no one ever disagrees. Like, it's not like that. It's not like there are these brainwashed, like, oh, everything's perfect. It's not like no one ever disagrees. It's that the wisdom, the deep ancient wisdom of Gaia herself is heard by all, especially the elders of each tribe. They hear Gaia. They can, maybe channeling or some other gift, maybe they're all different, but they hear Gaia and her needs. And everybody puts that as a top priority. And because of that, they all have the same priorities of keeping their land fertile. Of course they need to for food, of giving back more than they take. Because when you do that, she's saying you create generous land, a generous spirit. Gaia becomes this generous spirit who gives and gives and gives. And that has to do with the thriving village themselves, like the women being super fertile and having these beautiful, healthy babies, and the people living really long, and the harmony and the bliss and the happiness and the joy that they carry in their hearts. Gaia has a lot to do with that. She's showing me, what did I say her name was? Samil. She's showing me that the Schumann resonance, something that I've been studying a lot lately, and if you want information on that, check out my Instagram. She's showing me that the Schumann resonance was very different, a completely different set point, okay, like a way higher frequency. And it's almost like she's showing me like the difference of Gaia being in slumber on the low frequency, or Gaia being an awakened participant in the lives of all of these people because she's in this higher frequency. So she's like awake. It would be like, oh, what would it be like? It would be like bigger. I was going to say it would be like a spirit guide, but it's more than that. My spirit guides are very involved in my life. But it would be even more than that. She would be like this sentient being that was aware of everything that was going on with everyone, because she's like almost like a goddess, right? Like her power. And also able to see problems before they happen or as they're happening quickly, and then speak with I'm feeling like the word elders of the tribes. The oldest, most ancient ones are revered because they learn to commune with Gaia, and then they share what she needs. Okay, Gaia's come to me and there's an imbalance here in this part of our village. Maybe there was some anger or a dispute. Maybe they've cropped a certain part of a field and they need to give it a rest. Just whatever. I don't know. Okay, so that she's showing me that water to land relationship. So there are sentient and conscious beings like whales and dolphins and very, very old sea turtles. Turtles or tortoise? I don't know, but they're in the sea and they're swimming and they're huge, like huge. 500 years old, she just said, like 500-year-old like souls in these beautiful turtles. So there's those sentient beings, and they are also communing with Gaia. So everyone is. So Gaia is the ultimate balancer and the peacekeeper, and so active. And that's really the main difference between then and now, is that people have closed their ears. They've shut off what Gaia is trying to say for so long that she's gone into slumber. And another reason that she's gone into slumber is just the ravaging of her lands. It's almost like it's the ravaging of the energy here on Earth, and what we do to the animal kingdom, who she's very connected with, and the nature kingdom has just put her into a slumber. Maybe because it's too painful for her to stay awake and when no one's listening, right? So we want to encourage her now with these grounding high frequencies here into the earth. It raises the Schumann resonance, which raises our frequency. As Gaia's frequency goes up, so do all of her children, animals, humans, and nature. If you are on Gaia, the planet, and her frequency rises, you can't help but be affected by it. But so is the animal kingdom, so is the nature kingdom. We're all ascending together. And that is what it was like in Lemuria, where everyone was in this highly conscious, aware state of open receptiveness. So for the earth, for the ocean beings, the ones that are from Earth, were like, I would say like animal kingdom style, like some mammals, like the whales and the dolphins, and those like ancient ones, some with teeth. I just saw like a flash of like this leviathan alligator crazy prehistoric thing with like fins, but like with a big mouth of teeth. So there's all this happening in the ocean. Okay. I don't know if I asked her subconsciously, but then she just answered, because I'm like a vegetarian, have been for so long. I was just like, oh, because I saw its teeth. I'm like, oh, is it eating its friends? And she's like, of course, that is normal. That is the circle of life, but that too in balance. So yes, it's not like the animals are vegetarians. So whatever we've heard about paradise on Earth doesn't mean everyone's a vegetarian. It just means doing things with honor, respect, and balance. And then the ocean beings that are not from Earth, the mer people. Okay, so if you resonate with being like a mermaid, or a merman, or I don't know, anything like that, I'm feeling like they're from off-world. Like Sirius, Mintaka, somewhere else too. There are probably multiple water worlds. And then, and then just to confirm that, she showed me a flash of the land, and there are galactic beings on Earth at that time, which is really cool. So there was total disclosure, and visitors. And then she showed me, okay, you know how we talked about at the beginning, the sun was a portal. Some of them came from other universes. So within our universe, they wouldn't come through our sun. They're just already here. But if they're coming from another like universe, like parallel reality kind of thing, they would come through the sun and then come here. But that was very, very rare. And it was more that there were visitors on Earth like the Andromedans, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and then in the water, the Sirians, the Mintakans. What is that other one she's trying? She keeps trying to show me a third water world. I think it's in the Pleiades. I think I just saw a flash of the Pleiades. And I don't know why I can't get the name of the star or the planet. Maybe because I don't know it, so it's not coming through. Does anybody out there know if there's a water world in the Pleiades constellation, like there is in Syrian constellation, like there is in Orion? Maybe there is, and that's what I'm feeling. Oh, she's saying there are many. Okay, then she just showed me an Andromedan one. Okay, so there are definitely water worlds, because all planets are different amounts of land to water. So that's cool. Earth is pretty balanced. All right, so in the ocean are these beautiful, crazy different beings from all these other worlds. On land are all of these different galactic beings too. They were welcomed here with open arms. They are contributing to the peace, she said, and they're actually contributing to the information and the wisdom. I'm seeing that they have a lot of like I would say like healing technologies, especially in Arcturus and Andromeda. They have a lot of energy weaving and healing technologies that they brought here to Earth to share. The Pleiades has a lot of like invention style like technologies, like science and stuff. But anyway, I don't know if we need to go too far down that. So there was a council of so the Council of Earth did not include the beings that were not Earthlings, though. So it was humans. And then there was a Council of the Ocean beings, and they communed regularly. And how would they do that? You know, humans can't breathe underwater. They had these like in between spaces, which I would just say looks like a lagoon, where it's beautiful. It's beautiful, like a lagoon, like overgrown with green, like ivy and green everything. And then there's the water, and the water kind of comes in maybe towards like the opening of a cave where these people can sit, and then these people can still be in the water, and it's fairly deep still, but there's like these, it doesn't matter, there's these areas around Lemuria where they can commune. And that was important to keep the cohesiveness between land and sea, because they are both working together. Everyone was working together, and Gaia was the key to everything. So, and why were they working together? There was balance there too, because I'm seeing that there are fishermen, and to respect the ocean, they considered it its own world with its own leaders and council. In order to be able to do that, to be fishermen, to have fish to eat, which some people did. I'm seeing they're not all vegetarians. They would actually ask permission. Where can we fish? How much? And that's just maybe one of many things that they would discuss. What else? Yeah, that thought trail ended there. So that was enough of that. Okay, so what else do we want to ask about Lemuria? Okay, so what does the spirituality look like there, or the awakening look like there? Well, it looks like disclosure, working with galactic beings, being in balance with Gaia, and moving towards into for lack of a better word, like modernization in a healthy way. So she's saying just because they started out with their civilizations being like, there's no buildings, there's no cities, she's saying that doesn't mean that those things are bad, and it doesn't mean that as we get into the new earth, we're going to revert back and have no technology. Modernization is not bad and technology isn't bad. What we're lacking is balance and respect to Gaia and each other. There's no balance. Everything is it's all about greed, power, like the corporations. That's all that it's run on. They'll just plow down forests for more parking lots. Like, that's not balance. That's like really, really, I mean, these are the reasons why Gaia is, essentially, I do feel like she's kind of gone to sleep in a way. So we're going to try to raise her frequency up, us being the volunteers, right? The starseeds, the light workers, the awakening community, the spiritual community on Earth right now. As we bring these higher frequencies down, we're waking up Gaia and ourselves and everything, nature and animals, to get back to this place of working with her and her being the key, because it's her body, it's she is the planet, her soul is within this crystal core, and then the outer is like her skin. Like, she would feel everything. She does feel, absolutely. She senses and feels everything. So we have to work with her to live in a balanced earth of harmony. And then when she is actively helping, like she was then, she brings out the generous, abundant, like, flow of life force that we have never seen here on Earth in our lifetimes at all. Earth is so powerfully beautiful, so vital, so filled with nutrients and vitamins and natural solutions and stuff that we don't have because we've destroyed so much of it. So that's what we have to look forward to, or the generations ahead of us, depending on how far we get in this incarnation, this lifetime. Okay, so then what happened with Atlantis would probably be our next questions, because I can see that they are living as smaller communities or tribes, very much into recording wisdom, recording through storytelling and song. I don't really know if I see them like recording, but she says they record in their cells. Like when they speak it, when they tell the story, when they sing the song, it gets recorded in their very cells. And then they have the remembrance of that wisdom in their soul. So when they go into their next lifetime, they can activate it. Oh, she just said that's what's happening for us right now. So if you feel like you have a Lemurian lifetime in your past, and I know time is difficult, but let me just use that to make it simple. In your past life, in another lifetime, and now here you are on Earth, and Lemuria was about the highest frequencies on Earth and harmony on Earth and working together and all of that, and that's what we need now on Earth, then you absolutely have those stories and songs, that wisdom inside of you, in your cells, and it's becoming active. And that's why we need you. That's why we need you to activate yourselves and share your innate wisdom, stories and music and songs, because that's how it sparks again. That's how we spark it again. So that's how they recorded things. That's how they shared things. It's still within us. It's been recorded deeply in our cells. Okay, cool. Now I feel like maybe we would want to know about Atlantis. How did we go from this beautiful, what I'm looking at, to how long did it last? And then what happened with Atlantis? Okay, so let me just tune in for that. So she's saying it lasted many thousands of years, this, golden age of Lemuria. And then she used the word greed. So then greed happened in humans. Why? What sparked that? I wonder if she knows. For some reason I'm getting shown like currency, because before currency there was no greed. It was all like everyone, just like I said, everyone had a role, everyone contributed, and then everybody was taken care of. If you were a priestess or a farmer or a healer or like somebody that watched over the children, which was highly, highly respected honor to be that person, because there would be women and men too, and older children that just looked after the children in the village while everybody worked during the day. There was lots of beautiful roles. So how does greed come in? Well, it came in when currency came in, but why did currency come in? And when I asked that, I saw gold. I think it was gold, little pieces of gold. So why did that happen? I feel like there's some kind of off-world galactic influence where there's something to do, okay, with, I'm seeing like mining happening in a balanced way that Gaia would allow for resources, jewels, like they adorn themselves. There's nothing wrong with beauty and jewels. But then something happened where an off-world being visited and coveted the gold in particular, because something about the gold was really important to their world. I wonder why. There was something about it that was like necessary for their world. Like it was like they had had a limited supply and they wanted it. And so they, offered, I don't know, they offered something to people to mine deeper for more gold, more. That's what greed is, more. But Gaia would say no at a certain point, because she was supposed to be the one holding the balance. Like if a certain amount of mining has happened in one area, you need to give it a rest, right? And you also don't want to be consumed with the greed of this. But because there was interest from an off-world party in the gold, suddenly now a lot of mining is happening, because they are willing to say, if you do that for me, I'll do this for you. So let me just tune in. Who were these off-world beings? What were they offering these humans? I do say that it is a group of men. And it kind of, I'm just seeing the very beginnings of greed happening on Earth. So it was sparked. Okay, let me just tune in again. Who are these beings? I do feel like I'm seeing... Oh, I would say, like, I first thought I saw grays, and that the gold had to do with alchemy, which was something to do with they're always doing experimentation. Like, they're very smart, and they're always in labs, whenever I see them, doing all these experiments. And so it had something to do with, like, alchemy and an experiment that they were working on. But it had to do with their own selves, like their own worlds, and it was important to them. I feel like it had to do with their lifespan, which I don't know why. Can alchemy make you live longer? I don't know the answer to that, but this is what I'm receiving. I'm receiving gold, like visions of gold, alchemy, longer life. And somehow the Greys, this is what they wanted. Okay, so I don't know if anybody can answer more for that about me, because I don't do research. I just do this. But I love having things confirmed, so that's awesome. Okay, so what did they give? What were they willing to give the humans, right? Time. They said time. So I believe that's longer life as well. You know, a lot of grade starts with that. It all has, a lot of it has to do with longer life. People aren't satisfied for some reason. There could be a fear reason why they don't want their lives to end, but I don't know, people aren't satisfied for some reason with the length of their lives. So this has to do with, like, people trying to get immortality. Okay, so the Greys, or some version of them, okay, not all of them are bad, but some version of them that we're visiting I think they knew that gold was here, and they were acting all, like, nice and all of that, but really they had this, like, goal intention to get this, and then it was like a dark trade, like a dark black market kind of thing, where they're like, okay, like, don't tell anyone, but if you can get us this amount, we can do this for you to reach the immortality that they had reached. So they had, you know, the Greys had already achieved a certain amount of immortality, a long lifespan. They would be willing to trade that information with these people to take the gold, so that they could go do experiments to figure out how to live even longer. Like, it's just never ending. The people want more power. That equals power, right? Greed, power, money, currency. It's all so wrapped up together. So now I'm seeing with Atlantis, we're talking about what happened. Why did Atlantis start? It started with greed, and it started with the quest for immortality and alchemists and dark wizards and a gray influence from the Greys, and some masculinity that was easily manipulated into maybe the toxic masculine, right? And then that grew. So then that group told this group, I mean, because there are places all around Earth where this could be done, where gold can be mined. I don't know where those places are, but I'm sure. And then they become like a secret society. Oh, like the first secret society, basically, where okay, over here, there's like this group that works with the Greys, and then way over here, and then they start talking together, and then they grow. And it had to do with a secret society that was growing that wanted more. I would always say more. They always want more when it's greed. So this secret society wanted more than what was being offered to them from this beautiful, like, village style, very earthy Lemuria. They wanted, and again, not that modernization is bad, but balance, right? But they wanted more. They wanted, like, technology, like, vehicles, buildings, immortality, experimentation, more control over their own, like, bodies. And then when I see that that's the beginnings of what Atlantis became, I have done a video, I think, on Atlantis before, and if not, I can do one. But I can just say quickly, in Atlantis, there was a lot of experimentation always going on. They were mixing human DNA with animal DNA. So I've seen, like people that are, like, part animal, part human, going a lot against, like, nature, like the laws of nature for different power, different traits, different skills. Some of it was literally just for like trendy, like it was for the look of it, the aesthetic, I guess. So like if somebody decides that they want, you know, to have like cat eyes or, you know, I don't know, cat ears or whatever, may not have like a huge like reason for it or give you like this great like leg ahead of everybody else with all these skills, but some of it was just for the sheer aesthetic of it. But whatever it was, whenever I look at Atlantis, a lot of the time it reminds me of the Hunger Games. Have you seen in the Hunger Games the people that were like the bad people, I guess, in the capital city? It's like that, where they're like, they have all these crazy like ways of, you know, shallow ways of like self-expression. They're very concerned with youthfulness, living forever, you know, looking the most unique and different than everybody else and having the most. And these classes started forming in society with the haves and the have-nots, and Lemuria wasn't like that. So that was how Atlantis began. And of course, Atlantis grew with the secret society, but there was also takeovers that happened where they decided now they need more, again, all the more territory, more land. So they would, you know, through force push out some of those smaller villages and take a section and grow up these larger buildings. And they believe that was the wave of the future, and maybe it was, but it wasn't being done in a balanced way. And then in Atlantis also, there was a ton of experimentation that was happening for immortality that was damaging to the soul, where they would literally try to take, okay, so say you're an old man and you're an elite, because this is the beginning of these secret societies, and you want to go into a youthful body. They had these like experiments and technology where they would be able to take a soul from a body and put it into a younger body. But what happens to the soul that was already in the younger body? It either gets pushed to the back or out, or it's just not right. It totally goes against free will. And that was the darkness of Atlantis. And I know there's a lot of people that had beautiful experiences in Atlantis, but there was a lot of imbalance and darkness there. There was greed, there was power, there was this constant quest for youthfulness and immortality. And I do see that reflected today in a lot of ways. And I wonder if some of those things still exist here. And we don't know about it. You know, you never know what's going on with the elites. So, okay, so that was basically the beauty of Lemuria and what happened in the takeover of Atlantis. So, let me just tune in with her. I don't want this video to go on so long. So let me just see if there's anything to wrap this up, and then I'm going to open up to you to like send in questions. Is there something about Lemuria or Atlantis, because I could do a video on that you don't understand, that you specifically want to know more about? I'll do that. Okay. So thank you so much to Samil, this beautiful Lemurian priestess. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us? She's saying that the people of Atlantis took a lot of what they used as pure magic, and just everything had to be so big and so much larger. And what she's talking about is how they would dig up these beautiful crystals and they would infuse them, because these hold memories, they're a holder, they can store things. They would infuse them with either healing or an intention or a memory, and then they would bury them deep in the earth for like the next generations to find, which is kind of funny that I'm holding it and found it. They could also send healing to a part of earth. So say something was sick, and places did get sick, like if a part of a swamp was dying or a rainforest was dying, then they would do the work to help Gaia. They understood how the power of crystals, the power of intention, the power of doing, she said they would also learn how to heal waters. So they were like helping, they were Gaia's workers in a way, where Gaia could let them know, or maybe they would already know an area that was sick, and then they could use all these ways to heal it. And what Atlantis did was take that and make it bigger. Okay, well, we'll use like a giant crystal to power our cities, and like let's, you know, almost like electricity or like power. Things could be automated. We could have lights. We could automate, like I see a lot of like robotics even back then. There was a lot of technology in Atlantis happening. It wasn't all like earthy, spiritual goodness like Lemuria. It went like very hard into science really fast. And we're actually not even close to what they had back then. And they had like really big crystals, like big giant ones that they would set up to power cities. Yeah. Okay, and there's more about Atlantis, but again, I don't want this to go on forever. It's not an Atlantis video, it's a Lemuria video. Is there anything else that you want to know about Lemuria? I can ask Samil. She is very, very like generous with her presence. I really like her energy. Do you have like a lifetime on Lemuria? You can share about that. I'd love to hear more about that. And again, I'll just be checking the comments out for questions. If you want to do a part 2, what do you want to do next? Atlantis next? Let me know. I'm really enjoying where I see this series going, Meet the Cosmos. And I mean, I know this is ancient Earth history, but it's still a part of the cosmos. So it's super important that we understand how things fell and how we can kind of get back into balance, you know, for the new Earth. So anyway, I love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And if you're still here at the end of the video, thank you so much for your support. I want to remind you the membership is where you want to be if you want to like advance in any of these astral travel, channeling, psychic gifts, or having adventures, or going through the shadow work and the healing. Basically just like really diving into a deeper level of your spiritual ascension. That's what it's for, and it's really amazing. Please don't be intimidated. We've got all phases, like, I mean, you shouldn't measure, but like if somebody felt like a beginner or an advanced or an intermediate, like there's all kinds of different levels of information and wisdom and gifts. You're not going to be like the odd one out at all. Everyone feels very welcome when they join. So consider joining, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, check out my links below, because I am still doing one-on-one sessions. Like spaced out a little bit because I'm doing courses too, which is a lot in the membership and YouTube. So I really do enjoy doing free content here every week. So make sure you subscribe, because this is my way to give back. But if you want to work with me deeper, going deeper, sign up for a session, healing, a reading. If you want to know about like your past lives, get an Akashic reading with me. And you can request the lifetime that you want to know more about, or I can just see what comes through, which is always super spontaneous and fun. So I would love to work with you. Other than that, thank you. And of course, before we go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. I love you, starseeds. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.